Hello, gentle marketers. Welcome to the Gentle Business Revolution podcast, the show where we talk about marketing your business by disrupting the current marketing paradigm and changing it to a gentler approach, one that's based on empathy and kindness. As always, I'm Sarah Sanacroce. I'm the host here. And this is episode 3 in a series of self-care for tough times. And this is different episodes from my regular episodes. No intro music, no editing, no bells and whistles, just raw either conversations or solo episodes. Today is actually a conversation with my friend and previous client, Andrina Teasy. And I did say I was going to talk about insomnia, but we had a last minute change and I thought this episode needed to come first. So actually what's happening right now in the Santacroce household is that this weekend we just learned that my son Diego, who's 14, has been diagnosed with COVID. Yep, it happened. And now we're in the middle of a 10-day quarantine. Diego is feeling okay. He has a low temperature fever, but other than that, he's in good spirits and quite bored of playing too many video games in his room. He's pretty much stuck in his room. We won't allow him to, go about the house. And actually the doctors are quite strict. They're like, oh, you have to all be in different rooms. And so my husband moved out to the office and we sleep in separate rooms. Luckily, we have a bathroom, at least a toilet for each of us. And then, the showers, we just wipe them down whenever we use them. And so, this is going to be an interesting 10 days. Obviously, we do everything we can to stay healthy, to, be sure that we clean our hands all the time. We are wearing masks. We don't eat together. So it's definitely weird. So far, so good. I feel definitely healthy so far. And so does my other son, Simon, my husband, Tony. He is experiencing some symptoms, but we're not sure yet if it's serious enough to get tested. So we'll just have to play it one day at a time. And so this happened after I recorded this conversation with Andrina, where we talk about essential oils. And we did talk about, self-care and kind of like feeling cozy and feeling well cared for. But then I sent her an email and explained what just happened and asked her for some additional oils, maybe that are kind of more immune boosting or cleansing or kind of antiviral. And so I want to give you the list that she told me. So for single oils, for example, she mentioned eucalyptus. So that's probably one that you already know. It's often used in spas. So eucalyptus, I just took a bath with 2 drops of that yesterday. Oregano, that's another one. Clove, cinnamon, or one that's called melaleuca, something like that. So if you can get your hands on these oils, that's probably a good prevention to already have them in your house, because I can't leave the house. I can't go to a pharmacy, so I have to ask neighbors or friends to get them for me if I need them. But as I said, I already have eucalyptus, and I have another one or 2 other ones that I also asked Andrina about, and she said they were okay to use as well. So one is called Ravintsara, so Ravintsara. Apparently that's related to eucalyptus and camphor. And then another one is Niaouli, Niaouli. and that's part of the tea tree family. So tea tree is also good. So these are a couple of oils that you could use kind of to diffuse in your room, or like eucalyptus is good for baths. And so I'm hoping that you won't need them, but they're also just good for prevention. So hoping that that's of help to you. And obviously I hope that it won't get to that. And I wanted to record this intro before we go on to the conversation with Andrina. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Andrina Tisi about essential oils and other supplements to help you cope in challenging times. Enjoy. Hello, Andrina. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you, Sarah.
So fun. When I decided to reach out to you, we've worked together. So the audience, kind of knows that because I said it in the intro. And as I was thinking, well, who can I bring on to talk about oils and essential oils and not just oils, but supplements? Well, you came to mind. So here we are. And I just helped you with your podcast, and now you're on my podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you will be on mine at one point. So
exactly. Yeah, that'd be fun too. Why don't you tell the listeners a bit about, well, who you are, but also how, why essential oils? What's your story with essential oils? How did you come?
Absolutely. Well, I think my first essential oil ever was probably when I was in my teens, and it was tea tree oil because of my skin.
I remember that. Yeah, right? Me too.
And trying to get rid of the pimples. And then fast forward quite a few years when I lived in Canada and still, had some hormonal stuff happening. I went to an essential oil shop and I bought clary sage, which was, I was told it's good for balancing hormones.
Okay.
So that was probably my first step into essential oils. And then 7 years, probably almost 8 years ago, I really dove in really deeply and just started incorporating them into my day and into my life. And I just noticed how they changed my life really on the physical level, on an emotional level. I threw out all my perfumes and just used essential oils. And I noticed how sensitive I got to not natural smells.
That's interesting.
Yes. And even now, like certain things, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. When someone sits next to you in the bus or something and you're like.
Totally. And even with essential oils, I feel like my nose has gotten pretty good that I can smell an essential oil and I can tell if it's better or worse quality.
Wow.
And because that's a big topic, which we don't necessarily have to go into, but just so the listener knows that there's a lot of different qualities out there of essential oils. And, they just became a part of my life and the natural solution because they're really an extension of nature, and I love that.
Right. So maybe you can explain a bit what it is you're using them for today. Well, we'll talk about your personal use, but also you're helping clients with, guiding them along to know how to use them, right?
Absolutely. So with my clients, I really see what their topics are. And mostly I figure out what their physical challenges are, what their topic currently is emotionally, mentally. And then based on that, I can see which essential oil will make sense for them. For example, maybe they have digestive stuff happening, and then I can suggest some oils for that. maybe they have some sleeping thing that is not so great. And, there's different oils for that. Or maybe they're going through a really stressful time or through even a trauma or something where they need some support on that side. And I always feel like also for me, like essential oils is almost like a comforting blanket or like a warm water bottle or something. It's just like this really nice support that makes me feel really cozy and comforted.
Yeah. I think especially like I'm doing this series, as you know, for kind of self-care for tough times. And that's also why I think it's so timely to talk about, what makes us feel good if right now it feels like the world outside is falling apart. So it's a bit of a stretch maybe for some people to think that oils that, nice smells can make you feel good. But you're saying that's actually what's happened to you, and that's how really you improve your well-being.
Absolutely. And I do think, like you said, it might be a stretch initially to think about it, but if we all think about memories and how, like, for example, we smell something, it can be, a pie or it can be a flower. And so often there is instantly a memory connected to it. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I grew up in a farmhouse with my family, and we had a quince tree in our garden. And when I lived in Canada, quince was not so common, and then I was, at the farmer market once, and I saw this stand and they had quince, and I just took the quince and I smelled it. And within not even a second, less than a second, I was like back about 4 years old in the garden of my parents. Right? And it's proven that the smells and the brain are so connected. And that's also why that when we work with aromatherapy through, the smell and the aroma, we can literally like influence like the chemistry in our brain. Like that's also it goes into our system very fast through smell.
Wow. So is it always applied, externally, or are there oils that you also, consume and use internally?
Very good question. So there's 3 ways of using oils. The one I just mentioned is the aromatically, where we smell it. And that's even, if we apply it to our body, which I can go into a little bit more details how I personally do that. We also smell it, right? So we smell it, but at the same time, we have the topical application. So that's the second way of using essential oil, is applying it. And, that can be, even in form of a body lotion or, a shower gel, that they have smells in it too. Some have essential oil, some it's more like chemically based, but that's how we know how aroma can influence, or in a bath, right? We use some bath salts, which has something in it. So that's these are the 2 ways. And then, yes, you can use them internally. However, I really want to urge people to watch the quality of the oils and be really, really careful. If they have questions, they can anytime reach out to me. I rather tell them not to before they get a little bit into essential oils and know how to use them internally, because you don't want to mess something up internally. But I do use them internally.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like they're very powerful because they're always very condensed, right? One drop and it's like the whole room smells. So imagine what that does to your body if you use it too much.
Exactly. Like the essential oil I use, for example, the peppermint oil, 1 drop is as strong as 26 peppermint teas. So just imagine, right?
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely. And I also dilute them.
Yeah.
With the carrier oil, also when I put it on my skin, also depending a little bit on the oil, some oils are stronger, some oils I wouldn't even put on the skin because they're too strong. And, if in doubt, dilute the oil.
Okay.
And one place to put it on your body is the bottom of the feet. It's a really nice place to apply them, because the soles of the feet are very, I'm going to say sensitive, but the skin is not so sensitive, which is good. But because we have so many nerve endings and pores, so it goes very fast into the body. But the skin is not so sensitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, the skin is kind of rough because we use the feet to walk on all the time, but it absorbs it into the body, I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
So I guess listeners would want to, like, if they've never, worked with essential oils, never taken a course or anything, they would want some specifics. So, like, since the topic is, how to deal with tough times, what would, do you have some recommendations for, like, specific oils that we, right now would make us feel really cozy and good?
Absolutely. So, and
I'm going to take notes.
One thing is, the whole situation we're in globally, but we're also moving from summer into fall. It almost feels like winter here in Switzerland, but
it does.
So I really recommend grounding oils, which then are the woody oils. So, for example, cedar wood. And I also love, there's always, all oils have kind of a emotional component to it. Of course, they also work physically, and then there is, some spiritual aspect to it. But the cedar wood, it's grounding, but it's also the oil of community. So I feel it's really nice because sometimes maybe we feel like, more isolated, or we feel a lack of community, right? So that's one. And then another one, which is, also a wood, is frankincense. So frankincense, some people love it and some people hate it. Some people have a very big emotional connection to it. It's probably one of the oils a lot of people who grew up Catholic have a really fast connection to the church, and that can be good or bad. It's just to know, that is like I
because that's what's used in the church.
Exactly.
So interesting.
Really interesting. And the interesting thing is, so it's also, the three kings brought frankincense to baby Jesus. It's a very spiritual oil, great for meditation, and it's also the oil of truth, which I also find
really timely. Yes.
Right, yeah, exactly. And then there is a blend I use. It's called Balance, and like the name says, it's a very grounding blend. It's also kind of a yin and yang. It just balances us out, and it's different oils of different trees. So that's 3 oils more on the grounding, on the woody side. And then there's the citrus oils, which are kind of the opposite, but they're more energizing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And also because in the summer with citrus oil, especially on the skin, we have to be careful with the sun and citrus oils. They don't go well together. They can damage the skin a little bit. But now with, moving into fall, I, for example, enjoy using citrus oils more again. And what I really like is bergamot. It's a softer citrus oils. And it's also the oil of self-acceptance, which, going through these times, sometimes we feel like I'm not doing enough, I'm not enough, it's all this, why am I so stressed? All these stories we have. And yeah, so it's a beautiful oil, and it's a beautiful oil in combination to frankincense, for example. So I mix them together as well.
Okay.
And then wild orange it just feels so nice. It's so abundant, I'm going to say, and it is the oil of abundance. Because if you look at an orange tree, a lot of times they're like full of oranges. And it's, it has this sweet but citrusy, crisp thing to it. Which I really like. And then there's again a blend which is called Elevation, which has also citrus oils, but something else, some other oils in it as well. And it's the blend of joy. So for me, it's like the vitamin D of of the essential oils, especially in gray, days. It's like a little bit of sunshine.
Nice. And when you're saying these mixes, like, is this only available in a certain brand? Like, are you using?
Yeah, I mean, I use doTERRA. That's where those blends come in. But the thing is, I also do my own blends. I mix them together as well. So you can use technically whatever oil. Again, I would just urge about the quality, but single oils are perfectly fine. You don't need the blends at all. And then, we have flower oils, which lately I've been using rose and jasmine more, and they're very luxurious oils. They're also expensive oils, but they make me feel like very luxurious. And flower oils are also very feminine, which is nice, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like the woody and the grounding oils, they maybe tap more into our masculine side. And then the flower oils are more tapping into our feminine side.
So could you mix those two together?
Absolutely. Yes,
so it'd be like yin and yang together.
Yes, absolutely. For example, lavender, right, which is a flower, and the lavender is probably the most known essential oil. There's also the oil of communication, which is nice too. And then, for example, lavender and cedarwood is really nice. So we have the oil of community and the oil of communication. We go together. It's what I also always tell people, just because we know lavender is calming and helps us to relax and maybe even sleep. If you don't like lavender, it's not going to help you sleep.
That's true. It's like, that smell again.
Exactly. Right? Like, I have a friend, her husband is allergic to lavender. Well, obviously she's not going to put anything of lavender anywhere close in her house, right?
Right.
So there's always different options, right? For example, if you have something, going on with your sleep, lavender, of course, can be great, but so can be balance or frankincense, right? So for everything, there's different options.
Right. It's not just one oil that fits one ailment.
And I feel really going intuitively, and there is the one camp says like the oil you don't like to smell is the oil you need, and the other ones are saying the oil you really like, that's the one you need. And I'm more from that camp because I feel like it's a softer approach.
Yeah, that would feel kind of like forced to use an oil that you don't actually like the smell. That'd be a bit weird.
And then another flower oil I really like is Ylang-ylang. It's very, it's quite rich. It's also in a lot of perfumes. They use Ylang-ylang, and it's the oil of the inner child, which, in these cozy times, sometimes you just want to snuggle up on the couch with, a blanket, and, it's more that inward, and maybe we have time to, connect a little bit to our inner child. And it's, that's another flower oil, which I think is beautiful.
I'm going to grab an oil that I have on my table. I think it's a mix.
Tell me what's in it.
Yeah. It's called Relax. And oh no, it doesn't say what it has in it. Oh, maybe I have to open it. Hold on. There's a label. Okay. Oh, there we go. So, lavender.
Yes.
Rose abs something. Chamomile.
Yes.
And neroli. Neroli, is that something?
Yeah.
I need glasses. I'm reading this. I'm like, I can't see. Oh my God. I just publicly announced on the podcast that I'm needing reading glasses.
There you go. Yes, that's neroli is I want to say it's the orange flower. I'm not, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, you can probably get these blends, and this one's called Relax or Balance, and then just check if you see any of the ones you mentioned are not in here, because it's just kind of the typical ones like chamomile and lavender. So if you find an oil blend with cedarwood and wild orange or something, that probably.
Yeah, and honestly, like, smell it. Yeah. Like, if you like it, buy it.
There's a good chance that
it's fine. Like, whatever. And I so often have phases which oils I use, right? And then, sometimes it's like when you do, like, when you pull like an angel card or a tarot card or whatever, and it's like sometimes with oils, like, oh, I'm really attracted to this oil lately, and then I go reading. Sometimes I know, and I can know a lot of them already, but sometimes I'm like, oh, what is it? And then I read about it. I'm like,
that's
yes, that's why. It's like, yeah, okay. So it's really interesting. Yeah.
That's cool. I want to move away for 5 or so minutes to also talk about, any other kind of supplements, whether it is, I don't know, vitamins maybe, but also food, like, because I think in these times, especially with this also transition to fall, there's certain foods, I guess, that make us feel more cozy. And I'm not talking just chocolate, even though chocolate is nice, but I'm talking kind of other, maybe you talked about grounding oils. Let's talk about grounding foods.
Yeah, I love that. So if we look at nature, now, the pumpkins are out, the sweet potato. The other day, I went to the farmer's market, and I think I saw the biggest sweet potato I've ever seen in my life. I think it was like, I don't have small hands. And literally, I feel like it was like twice the size of my hand. It was gigantic. We have that, potatoes in general, all the pumpkins. So the root vegetables, and again, roots, grounding, that's going to give you the grounding that you need, right? And it's also more warming. Like, we're not going to eat a raw pumpkin, right? In the summer, we're more drawn to the salads, the cucumber, the cooling foods, right? And now we're going back to soups and stews, and instead of, when we look at nature, like in the spring and in summer, like the green stuff like gets out and out towards the sun, and now we have the food that stays in the earth or close to the earth, right? So that's the food that is grounding.
What always amazes me is that even though this food is like either growing underground or on the ground, how colorful it really is, know? Like, you take a beetroot, it comes out of the ground and it's just like this red, purple. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Or right now, I have some beetroot in the garden, the ones that has these circles. So it's white and red and white. And it's just like amazing that thing comes out of the ground. So yeah, it's those kind of, and they're all, obviously sweet potato is sweet, but even pumpkin is very sweet in taste, and even beetroot I think is sweet. So
yeah, and what's really nice is they can take all these root vegetables, from carrots to celery root to beet to whatever pumpkins you want to use, or squash, and I just chop them up, some like olive oil and salt, and then put in the oven, and it's great, right? You can use it
roasted.
Totally. And then you can experiment with spices. So I think spices is like the the underrated superfood in a way.
Yeah.
You know, with cinnamon and ginger and turmeric and all that, you can do so many things, right? And then, you know, you mentioned chocolate. Yeah, I was going to mention chocolate. But even, you know, a turmeric latte or something instead of a hot chocolate, right? It's really nice. Or ginger tea, right? All that stuff, which is also warming and I mean, ginger and turmeric is a root as well.
It's true. Yeah. It's just, you know, dried and ground up.
Yeah.
Would you use fresh turmeric, for example? I bought it once and I'm like, I don't know how to use this really. It's even more fibery than the ginger, right?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. The problem is like everything gets stained yellow.
Oh, right. That was the main problem. I had to throw away the cutting board.
From your knife to your cutting board to your hands. And like at one point I was years ago, when I got into like those golden milk and turmeric lattes, I watched a YouTube video about, it was like a Kundalini yogi who made in her white outfit a turmeric latte. I'm like, be careful, like your white outfit, because literally everything gets stained. I would love to put it into my smoothies, but I don't, because I don't want my smoothie pitcher or whatever you call it from my blender.
Yeah,
get all yellow.
Oh yeah, because it colors everything.
Really colors everything. But you can. What I sometimes do, I do the same thing with ginger. I chop it up and then I freeze it.
Yeah.
Right? Or I like this with ginger, I put the whole root into the freezer, and then it's actually almost easier to grind. Like, and then I take the grinder and I can really like just grind it and put it into the pan or tea or whatever, but it's easier because it's less juicy in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do the same thing with turmeric. And I have a feeling it may stain less when it's frozen.
Probably, yeah, because I don't know. We'll take your word on it and try it.
I'm just saying, just watch out for your hands, like, you know, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this is so interesting. I think the last question is regarding supplements, and you can tell me if you're like, I don't know, but you know, everybody's talking about taking zinc right now or taking vitamin D. So what's your opinion on that? Is that what we should be doing, or is that not really helping if we're actually, you know, paying attention to the food we eat?
Well, I would suggest vitamin D. Mm-hmm. And I think in terms of energy, iron is also a big thing. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of, like, I just had my iron checked and it was actually way too low. Mm-hmm. And for sure, vitamin C and zinc is big right now because of the situation we're in. And I think, yeah, sure, why not, right? Like, I think I take supplements, but I'm not so religious about it because I forget. Then I take them and I have a time where I'm very diligent about it and I take them and then I forget again and I quote unquote fall off, which I think is fine too. And I'm for sure amping up my game right now again, just to get ready for the fall season. And yeah, but I think vitamin D, depending what you eat, B12, like if you can also have, I think it's not a bad idea to get, you know, maybe twice a year or even once a year, get your blood tested on your levels, and then you know, right? Mm. But B12, you know, a lot of times they say, you know, vegans have to be careful with the B12, but I know people who eat animal products and had low B12. So it's all about how you can absorb it, right?
Okay.
And yeah, so these are the ones I would go towards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what I heard as well, is the vitamin D. It's just because we're spending less time outside, like especially now, but in general, I think, we're spending too much time indoors. And I talked about that on another episode. If you can, still go outside, because that definitely also helps. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This has been great. Anything we didn't mention that you absolutely wanted to mention?
Well, just maybe just a couple of things in terms of how to actually use the oils. Mm-hmm. Like if somebody, so, a hot bath is great, which is also very cozy and comforting. You can put any oil in it. The other day I took eucalyptus, right, which is very nice for the also sinuses, and it just feels like you're in a spa. Yeah. But you can use anything.
How many drops would you put in there then?
It depends a little bit on the brand of the oils you use, but probably like anywhere between 2 to 5 drops. Okay. And then I always, it's hard to take the oil out of the bath. Yeah. But I start with like 2 drops and then add one more.
Add gradually.
If you want to, right? Or, for example, yesterday I did a castor oil pack on my belly. And castor oil is it's so, like, if you really do it the way, people tell you to do it, it's quite not complicated, but it's messy. And I just put castor oil on my bare skin, add whatever oil I want. I used clary sage yesterday for because it's good for the hormones, like I mentioned right at the beginning. And then just cover my belly with I just wrap myself in a towel, and then put the hot water bottle on top of my belly, and lie on the couch.
Right. How long do you have to leave it on?
Half an hour.
20
minutes. Okay. 2 hours. Whatever.
It depends. Yeah. It's like, I'm actually comfy. So.
Yeah, exactly. If you watch a movie, leave it on for the entire movie.
Right.
And then I use it in my body oil or body lotion. Like I have an unscented body lotion, or I use fractionated coconut oil or almond oil or whatever. So then you can just add a drop or 2 into that, and then you can put it onto your skin. That's just 3 ways to really nicely add or put that into practice.
Right. What about, again, we said at the beginning, I think, just put a drop on your feet.
Yes.
So that would also work, right?
Absolutely. Like also, for example, lavender before you go to bed. You can massage your feet. If you have children, you can massage your children's feet with a little bit of carrier oil. I'm sure your partner is going to be happy if you massage or ask him or her to massage your feet. You can also do like a room spray or a pillow spray with whatever thing you want in your room. A diffuser is great. Also, with the air getting drier with the heater, if you have a humidifier, some humidifiers have actually a spot where you can add essential oils.
Yeah.
I just have my diffuser, which is not really a humidifier, but it's just diffuser for the air.
For the oil, yeah, that's what.
And then I just have it in my entire apartment, really.
Nice. Yeah. Well, again, this has been great. I learned a lot. I took lots of notes. Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much. Please do share with the audience where they can find out more about you and, oils and blog posts. And I know you have a free resource as well. So please share that.
Yes, it's very simple. It's just my name, andrinatisi.com. And I have information on there, and anybody can reach out if they have just 1 question or 10 questions. I love to talk about the oils. So by all means, anybody can reach out if they want more information.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrina. This has been
Thank you, Sarah.
And I now feel like I have this urge to go smell, some nice oil. I'm like, Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
You have the same urge for some nice smelling surroundings right now? If so, you can probably find them at your local pharmacy or otherwise also get them online. You can always check out Andrina's website. That's andrinatz.com, ANDRINATISI.com. And I really hope you found some useful information in this episode. This Friday, I'll post a regular episode again about storytelling for your brand. And then next Wednesday, I'll post that episode about insomnia. And by the way, our Gentle Business Circle is happening today. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, the 7th, why not join us for this monthly call of Gentle Souls? You can check out the details at sarahsanacroce.com/circle. Membership starts at only $7 per month. There's other options in there as well. So we'd love to have you, and take good care of yourselves, and we'll get through this together. Speak to you soon. Bye.